Morty, we've got to turn the project in early.
Hey everybody, how are we doing? We are going to lock in Adeline and Darius. Good to see you there. We're going to get going on the project. Who's here to work on the project now? I see we have like 13 people watching live. We got the video description up. I have to like wait a moment for the stream to end, because if I don't, it'll like start streaming to the previous stream. And then I've had that issue. Like if you start up a stream right after, it's like Streamlabs is like, or OBS. I used to use Streamlabs. Used to. I'm so excited. Yay, Reagan, that's awesome. We're gonna put in the description of the video project stream. I was locked in and out of it because I'm currently looking at Elder Scrolls. Oh, I heard that. When is that coming out? Okay, I must see that. Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster. It's gonna be unveiled today. Wait, Oblivion remaster will be available to play right after it's officially unveiled. Okay, well, my wife's gonna be playing that. Currently on. Okay, we gotta take a moment. Where's it being revealed right now? Where's it being revealed right now? Okay, so I think it's right here. GameSpot is showing it. Okay. GameSpot's showing it, and then we're gonna get serious. Oh, Bethesda's channel? Okay. Bethesda. We gotta see this, then we're gonna get serious. All will be revealed. Okay, so have they showed any gameplay? Oh, that looks good. Okay, we're gonna get, hopefully don't get hit with copyrights on this. That looks good. We're only 5 minutes in. Looks really good. Yeah, this is some. Make a character class. Oh, that's like old. That's old school. Hopefully fighting's been improved. Hopefully we don't get some copyrights on this. But they started the unveiling stream at 11 a.m. Man, we're gonna be competing with Bethesda right here. That's the new gameplay, right? Is that the new gameplay? So excited! They remasters all the DLC, so you get every single DLC. I played these games because Oblivion's before Skyrim, so they're like, no Elder Scrolls 6. We're just remastering. We're making it better. So yeah, that looks cool right there. Well, I'll take it. So wait, is there a physical release of that? Are they going to release discs for it, or is it all digital? So you got to be like, well, I got to get I should just get that for my wife. Well, she's playing Witcher 3. It's a little taste until Elder Scrolls 6, yeah. But no, it looks good. Looks hot. Like it. Okay, let's get the project going right here. Thank you for saying that. I actually did see Moist Critical had something on it last night, and I was like, I just didn't think it was that soon. I think that's the way they create hype these days, is they just drop something right away, and everyone's like, dude, because you got 500,000 people watching that, so it's got some hype. And even I'd be probably watching it right now if I wasn't streaming, but yeah, that's cool. That's the way you create hype. It's like there's like a bunch of games like Balatro, indie game. There's a bunch of indie games out now. I love indie games. Elder Scrolls not an indie game. Bethesda's not an indie game studio, but still. Okay, I believe so, but unsure. It helps. Yeah, let's Morbin. Physical disc. Oblivion was your first Elder Scrolls game. I think it was mine too. I think I played it on original Xbox. I'm loading up the data right now as we do this. Everyone played Skyrim. Skyrim has the easiest to remember release date. Who knows what the release date was for Skyrim for 5,000 points? The things are loading up for me. What was the release date for Skyrim? And we're going to be working in like 1 minute. Who knows what the release date for Skyrim was? You'd be shocked. You'd be like, that's so easy to remember. If you don't know it, look it up. And you'd be like, easy. Who knows the release date for Skyrim? The release date. And it wasn't just November 11th. What else was it? Well, it wasn't just November 11th. Check out a little bit more when it was. You're right, Darius. I'll throw some points for that. 2011. Not 2001. I was in grad school when it released. That beat me starting college. Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out when I was in college. My friends say I vacationed in Vice City. So the release date, if you don't know it, is this. That's the release date. The release date of it was 11/11/11. Just one of the easiest release dates. No worries, Ali. That's that. Here, we'll start talking about the project now. We'll put the first thing in here. Yeah, that's the coolest thing to know about the release date of Skyrim. But there was a guy, Wes Bailey. I mean, he's still around, but he was so hyped for Skyrim. He was like, dude, and like we all played. Skyrim is huge, you know, it's a great game. So Oblivion was a good game too. I don't know. Start playing it. Lots of fun. Okay, getting started on the project. Let me re-timestamp this. Project getting started. Okay, let's go take a look at the project. Here we go. I forgot to click one thing. Okay. Main screen time. And I got an email. Sorry, I think someone emailed me and I didn't reply to them yet. Sorry, very sorry. I got to reply to you on this. Sometimes I go home and just relax because you got to take moments to yourself. But I got to make sure I reply to that. So here is the Stat 1 project. If you turn it in by the 30th, you get 8 points bonus. But I had someone turn it in one time and they just turned it in quickly to turn it in. Don't do that. Don't do that. Work on it really well. Late submissions get a penalty, so don't turn it in late. I mean, do turn it in late if you don't turn in, but please don't turn it in late. I do want to mention one thing right here. We saw this during office or during class. There it is, syllabus. So this is the syllabus from my class. I go into additional detail right here. Please, you said we could send it to you. I'll do a quick, brief read over of it. But if you're in my office hours working with me in person, I sometimes read it and grade it there. That's my policy because then it takes work off my graders. But I do that. Here's the biggest thing. This is on my syllabus. Do not tell people your outcomes. Do not send your work to anybody. Do not make changes to the ideas of another student. Like, don't be telling another student, oh, you should write this. That's cheating. You're telling them what to write on their project. Do not sit next to someone and work on the same stuff with them. Like, if your friend's like, let's just sit together and work on the project. It's like, I gotta work on this on my own. I gotta figure this out. Do not allow someone to take pictures of your work. That is totally cheating. If you take pictures of someone's work or allow someone to take pictures of your work, do not read your assignment out loud to someone. A lot of people said, I didn't take pictures or send to anybody. They just read it to me. That's cheating. They can't read your assignment. Do not look at someone else's screen. Do not allow people to be looking at your screen. Don't be like, oh, I was just doing my work and they were just looking at my screen. Don't do that. Do not tell someone the answers to the questions they are working on. Receive help from tutors that violate the syllabus. This is a very unique one where I did and the student didn't get in trouble, but the tutor did something that they weren't supposed to do. And it was not lightly. I'm very unhappy about it still. Very weird scenario. You deal with a lot of weird things that, yeah. So even tutors can lead to cheating. And if your tutor is doing things they shouldn't do, you're like, I don't think we're supposed to do that. That's cheating. So I say this because we don't want to write people up for cheating. We want you to be very informed of it. Don't do any of those things. You should be doing your work on your own. So here are some of the files to use. Now here's the issue. I cannot work on these files right now or else you're going to start copying what I do. Did everyone hear that? I can't work on these files. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my favorite data set. You know the favorite data set. What is my favorite data set? Who knows in the chat? We're going to get started on your data. So right here. So what data set do you think Brian's going to work with? We're still getting started. So what data set do you think I'm going to work with? Pokemon. You love it. You know it's Pokemon time. Okay, there we go. We got Pokemon data. Pokemon data, my favorite data set, 5,000 points in the chat. And you will be working with different data right here. So once again, you're not going to be working on the same data I'm working on. You're going to pick your data set from on here. If you look at the documentation, it explains to you what the variables are in your data sets so you can understand your data sets one you pick from. Don't pick the same, be like, oh, you're working on this data set. I want to work on that data set too. And tell me what you're doing. Don't do that. You're going to do unique stuff. It's going to be unique to you. So pick your data set right now, download it, and then whichever one you download, open that data set in Jump. If Jump is not opening for you, please let us know. If Jump is not opening for you, please let us know. So make sure to get the data set. I know I'm blocking screen now real quick. Good to go. If Jump is not opening for you, please let us know. Yeah, sure. You pick whatever one you want. There you go. And don't worry, there's 4 of them, so people are going to pick the same ones. Like, eventually, someone has to pick the same data sets. So with this right here, let's start working on the project. So with the project, the first thing says this. Side-by-side box plots. Or no, I was further down. I was like, that doesn't sound like the start of the project. So we've got the early bonus at the start. So I'm going to re-timestamp this and put this to the overview. Okay, here we go. I totally lost my timestamp. There we go. Project overview. Okay, you'll pick one of the jump data sets, as we just said. Use the data set to complete the project, do your interpretations, all that good stuff. At the top of your document, just put the following. So nice and easy points on your project right here. You take this, you go to a Word document. In your Word document, you drop it in, you make it look more pretty than this. And does everyone see how to do this portion? Who's following me? You should be setting up your Word document right now. You should input your info right here, your section, like Brian's YouTube. Make sure only if you're in Brian's YouTube section. I only have one. I don't know what section number is. My YouTube section. Instructor's name, Brian Stevens. If you're my student, please do not put my name. You're not my student. What's gonna make you cry, Allie? Is it the new Oblivion? I hope it's that. We got this. Look, we're already getting points. We're already getting points right here. UTK email, bstevens@utk.edu. Mine doesn't have vols. Mine's just at utk.edu. Oh, look at this. We're already getting points. This is points, freebie points. Look at that. I don't care. We just rubric, whatever. Look at this. Let's say enable self. So here we are, early project submission, executive summary. We'll worry about that in a moment. There should be random sample. That is a big rubric, right? So we do ask you to take a random sample. And I'm surprised we don't have the random sample in here. I need to tell Terry that because we want you to take a random sample, but it doesn't have points for it. As per the instructions, for this assignment, you'll need a random sample of 500 plus the last two of your UTID. Note when checking the conditions, you are not to assume the population size is the size of the original data, but the size of the population of interest on context the data is based on. So let's go ahead. Kind of, sort of, Olivia, you're right. Great answer right there. So how do we take a sample of 500? So to take a sample of 500 plus the last two of your UTID, I want to use the Pokemon. Here's how to take the random sample. You ready? To take the random sample, simply click rows. Oh my gosh. Tables, subset. Went to the wrong spot. Table, subset to take a random sample. And then click random sample size. And then 500 plus the last two of your UTID. We'll pretend mine's 23. Did everyone see that? And then you hit OK. Go to tables, subset, random sample size, 500 plus the last two of your UTID. Then click OK. If you don't see it, just let me know, because we will keep continuing on. Type a yes in the chat if you're totally following along right now and you've got the random sample. Who's totally followed along? You're morbed in. Emily's there. We got other people probably too. But you have your random sample. You're good to go. And remember, this is recorded, so you can check it out at any time. But we need the random sample to do the project, so you should be good. You probably want to go to File, Save As right now and say like Project Data. This is unique to you. So go to File, Save As, and call it Project Data or something like that, because it's just called subset of Pokemon for me. Once again, I'm using the Pokemon data because you don't have it. Don't use the Pokemon data. It's my data. And so now we're going to go back to the assignment instructions. And it talks about we've been working at a company. So I've been working for Nintendo of America. Does that make sense? I've been working for them for a few years now. And we've been tasked with analyzing whether or not people like Pokemon. So I need to figure out, except Reagan, I got two Reagans in the chat. I need to know, why do people like Pokemon? The executive summary has 3 key tasks. And this is where people make mistakes, but I also want to say this. When should you write your executive summary? Because it's an executive summary of the full report. So here's the thing. When should you write it? So watch what we're about to do. I'm going to do a new section. When should you write your executive summary? Because it's an executive summary of the whole report. When should you write it? At the end, and Emily's right, you'll do it after you do your report, but it'll be at the start. Like, it'll be at the first thing. It'll be the executive summary's first page is the executive summary. I want to make that clear. But you write it after you've written your report, because it's an executive summary of your report that you could literally just take and be the like cliff notes of the report. So we can't do that yet. We can't do the executive summary, but we can do the one sample Z. So here we are with our first statistical analysis. Project 1 sample Z. Pick a categorical variable with 2 levels. Okay, so how do we find that? How do we find a categorical variable with 2 levels? It should probably be what color over here on the side. How do I pick one with 2 levels? How do I find a categorical variable with 2 levels. It needs to have 2 levels. It should be what color over here? Categorical with 2 levels. What color is categorical? Red. And then I have to find one with 2 levels. Well, I only have legendary. Does everyone see this? Legendary is the only categorical variable, red, with 2 levels. So I'm picking legendary. That's decided for me right there. So I will analyze legendary. Next thing says, identify which level you would consider a success. Now, this is completely arbitrary. A success is just the thing you want to analyze. But I want to analyze which Pokemon are legendary, which means I want to analyze true. And why are companies interested in this? Well, we know that people love legendary Pokemon. So we want to figure out the true proportion of Pokemon that are legendary from doing this analysis. Who follows me? I'm analyzing it, the success, as true because we know that people are interested. No, don't say, we know that people like this. Don't use my words. We should have a thing up that says, like, don't say things. Do not say exactly what Brian says. Use your own words. I feel like we should show this at any time. Like, I should just put this on the screen when I say something. Do not be like, we know people like retention, so we want retention. Yes. Do not say exactly what I say. Just take in what I say. Who follows me? That don't be like, I'm just saying it the way I say it. At Nintendo of America, so don't say at this company. At Nintendo of America, we've seen that people love legendary Pokemon. So we want to find out what % of Pokemon are legendary. We've decided to analyze if Pokemon being legendary true is the level of interest that we will analyze as a success. Don't copy that, though. Don't be like, at this company, we are trying to analyze that. You're copying me then. I'm just saying it the way I would say it. My company is Nintendo of America, and we talk about legendary Pokemon here. So we're going to analyze success being true for legendary Pokemon. There's a billion ways to say it. Just take it in. Just relax with it and think about the way you're going to say it. So let's check this out. Because I've had people say, I just watched Brian's video and wrote exactly what he said. Don't do that. And then it's weird that you know the person that you matched. It just happens to be your roommate or something. Like, wow, that's weird. Well, we both watched the video. Well, there's thousands of students watching the video too. Please do not copy each other. Don't copy me either. Okay. So we've got this. We've identified, I'm going to talk about legendary Pokemons. Create a bar chart with a frequency table. Make sure your bar chart is in horizontal format and it has the percentages on it. So here we go with this. We're going to go right here to our subset of Pokemon and go to Analyze Distribution. I'm going to pause. Good job, Reagan. Analyze Distribution. So with Analyze Distribution, we're going to click it. And then we're going to go to Legendary and click it there. Analyze Distribution, Legendary, Y columns. Click OK. Now we're going to click the top red arrow and click Stack. Then we're going to click the second red arrow and click Display Options, Histogram Options. That's Histogram Options, Count Axis. And I don't think, I might have said this, why not? Histogram Options, Show Percentages. That's good. Let me double check, because sometimes it says, like, show the counts. Yeah, it's good. Yes, so it says make sure it has the counts or percentages. Good, we're good on that. So making sure we got it. Here's our graphic. This is our first graphic. Who follows me? This should be your first graphic. And we get a nice screenshot. Now let's say you get a little extra. You made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. You got a little bit extra. You can click on the picture. It never hurts to get a little extra because then you can go to crop by clicking the picture. Crop that out. Type a capital Y if you're doing good right now. If you've got some good screenshots, you're getting screenshots, you're following along, you're doing all right, it's looking good, you're doing good. Capital Y, we got some good news in the chat right there. So there we go. We got a good screenshot. So what does this mean? It's about 8% of the Pokemon. About 8% of the Pokemon are legendary. About 92% of the Pokemon are not legendary. You can see the decimals. 42 of the Pokemon were legendary out of the 523. You should understand what these numbers mean right here. We sampled 523 random Pokemon. Of those 523 random Pokemon, 42 were legendary, which is about 8%, and 481 were not legendary, which is about 91.9% or 92%. Same thing goes to the bar chart right there, which is a display of categorical variables. We haven't seen this in a long time, but Categorical variables can be displayed in a bar chart right there, so we're good on that. Now we need to make a confidence interval, and this is trying to figure out the true proportion of legendary Pokemon. So to make a confidence interval, do the following. Click the red arrow, and then go to confidence interval. You will need to click other. I can click it too. Do not enter in 90, 95, or 99. Did everyone hear that? You need to enter in something other than 90, 95, or 99. So if you're not listening to me right now, if you have me on mute, you might have clicked OK like me. Please enter in something other than 90, 95, or 99. So with this, here is the 95% interval, which please make something else. The instructions say do not make a 95. How would this be interpreted? And Ubot can help us out for this. How would this be interpreted? This is where we'll see a lot of people give the same interpretations. This is where you can kind of copy me a little bit, because this is where we standardize. Oh, no, I got one letter off on the confidence. So how would we interpret this as my picture all pretty right here? I am. How do we interpret it? I am. What? So we have to say the following. We say, I am 95% confident. So this category, yep. I am 95% confident that just the one bar chart, it's just the one bar chart. That's just one bar chart up there. I mean, it's got two levels, one bar chart. I am 95% confident that the true proportion of legendary Pokemon is contained in the interval 5.99% to 10.67%. This is the lower bound. And this is the upper. And this is the confidence level. Who thinks they can interpret their interval? Because it's whatever your context is. I am blank percent confident that the true blank is contained in the interval blank to blank. So Mubot's got it right there. If you see how it's written out, I am 95% confident that the true proportion of legendary Pokemon is contained in the interval 5.99% to 10.67%. Or you can do decimals, or the true percent. But that should be it right there. How are people doing? Let's see how we're doing on the instructions. Create the bar chart, do that. Search YouTube channel for Discord. Oh, yeah. Oh, the dark mode. I could post that. We should have put the link on here. Should put the link. Let me get you the dark mode video. Since it says to search for it, I'll go find it. It's in the visualization playlist. So if you have an issue with the dark mode, if it's not showing the numbers over the bars, then you have to turn dark mode off. There it is. We made this years ago. How many years ago? 5 years ago. Here's the dark mode link in the chat, so if you can't find it. But that's going to be how to turn off dark mode, and it's just a change to your settings. You have to go and change the settings on a Mac. And there we go. Okay. So create a confidence interval, which we've done. Include the screenshot. Name and define the 3 conditions. Okay. What is the first condition for a confidence interval for the proportion? Who knows it in the chat? Because you know what button I'm about to hit. I think, Dylan, you're about to say it. So what's condition 1? Condition 1 is what? Condition 1 is what for the conditions? This is name and define the 3 conditions. Random. Where's my button? So did we pass random? Like, think about how you just... We literally took a what? I mean, just think about how we passed that. We took a random... I mean, just explain it. We took a random sample. So, I mean, yeah, we kind of passed it. We kind of did that. Condition 2. What is condition 2? What is condition 2? Condition 2 is what? Gosh. Condition 2 is what? What is condition 2? Condition 2 is what? Condition 2 is 10%. I really love this video right here because I list all the conditions and you can see them written out for you right there. Condition 2 is 10%, as in less than 10% of the population sampled. Now, I actually broke this one, though, because there's not 5,230 Pokemon. So I'd have to say I failed the 10% condition because I've sampled more than 10% of all Pokemon that exist. Who follows me on that? So I would actually fail the 10% condition. You have to think for your data what the population size is, and it's not what you sampled from, because I didn't even care how big of a sample what the sample of the Pokemon was I was taking from. But there's not 5,230 unique Pokemon, so my sample of 523 is more than 10% of all Pokemon that exist. So I'm still doing this, but I'd have to say I do not pass the 10% condition. My sample of 523 is more than 10%. Do people follow that in the chat? Because I'd say there's not 5,230 Pokemon. I've sampled more than 10% of all Pokemon that exist. So I failed the condition. And so condition 3 is what, though? What is the third condition when testing proportions or doing confidence intervals with proportions? The third condition, it's on the screen somewhere on here. You have to think proportions are categorical. The third condition is what? What is the third condition? Success, failure. So I have to have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. And how many successes did I have? How many successes did I have? Tell me exactly how many successes I had, because we can say exactly how many successes I had. Like, you can see in the data how many successes we had. I had exactly how many. How many successes did I have? Successes is how many things meet the thing you're looking at. You wanted to look for legendary Pokemon? Well, how many legendary Pokemon were there? That's how many successes there were, which is actually X in notation. So how many successes were there? Who knows, for 5,000 points. How many successes did Brian have? 42. That's more than 10? That's more than 10. So there's 42 successes and 41 failures. So we pass. There's at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. And you can just see the amount right there. Now, it is technically NP hat and Q hat, but if you times that out and do 523 times the sample proportion, you will get the value equal to 42. Just because it solves out. Like, X is N... Oh, excuse me. We have X over N equals P hat. So if you times both sides by N, you get NP hat equals X. So that's why you can just look at X right here and you have the answer. So we failed one condition. Condition 1, I took a random sample. Condition 2, my sample size of 523 was more than 10% of the 502. There's not 5,230 Pokemon, so my sample of 523 was more than 10% of all Pokemon, so I failed the second condition. Condition 3, I passed condition 3 because I have at least 10 successes, at least 10 failures. How are we doing on conditions here? Those are the 3 conditions for confidence intervals for the true proportion. The 3 conditions for the confidence interval for the true proportion. Interpret to the reader the confidence interval. We already did that. I am 95% confident that the true proportion of legendary Pokemon is contained in the interval number. So next, we are doing a hypothesis test. Use the value of 0.67 as the hypothesized value somebody believes is true. They believe someone. Wow, what does someone believe about legendary Pokemon? Explain to me what this means. Someone believes that what percent of Pokemon are legendary. They like, some kid goes, I believe this, Brian. And I say, really? That's what you believe? So what do we have right there? What does the kid believe? A lot of people are going to ask about this. Let me do this. I'm going to mark this. Project proportion hypothesize test. A little kid walks up to me and says, Brian, I think 67% of Pokemon are legendary. Really? You think 67% of Pokemon are legendary? Well, we talked about this a lot today. How would you write the null hypothesis not? I think it says not in statistical notation. How would you say it? He believes that what? The statistical notation for it is this. Well, I think we're supposed to use 67. It says in the assignment, let's double check. It says use 67. Next, use this number. It says use 67%. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, you can use 80% confident. Probably like I don't want to say a number. So everyone will say, do what I do if I say it. Yeah. This right here. Yeah, you can, Dylan, you're right. Mm-hmm. So what does this mean? The kid believes what? What does this mean right here? What does this mean in this context? Without statistical notation, because it says don't use statistical notation, they believe what? I kind of was saying it a moment ago, but what does this mean for me in my context? What does that mean for me in my context? Because remember what I'm testing? The P is the thing I'm testing, the true proportion of legendary Pokemon. This is a statement of equality. This is a hypothesized value that we believe is true. So when you put it all together, what does it mean? The null says we believe what? Which is a current belief. The null says we believe what? The null says we believe what? Just tell me the full thing. Like, what does it mean as a sentence? This is where so many people get stuck on this. They're like, how do I read that? This is the true proportion of legendary Pokemon. So what does it mean? Someone drop it in the chat for 5,000 points. Just think about what it means, because you're like, oh, you're just saying you believe this. It said someone believes this. Some kid believes this. What do they believe? I'll give it one more. They believe what? Yeah, Anna and Reagan, you got it. We believe that 67% of Pokemon are legendary. And then we're going to look for evidence that that's not true. And guess what? If you look at the interval tells us that the truth with 95% confidence is somewhere between about 6 to 11%. I rounded that harshly, but okay, so if you believe 67% is true, what do you notice about 67%? It's where? 67% is where to this interval? I should put it over here. 67% is where to this interval? There's the interval. 67% is way where? Imagine your friend said, I believe I'm a 67% free throw shooter, and you watch and they only make like 8% of their baskets. And you say, well, I estimate you're between 6 to 11%. And they say, no, I am a 67% free throw shooter. You say, evidence points elsewise. I estimate the true proportion of free throws you make is somewhere between 6 to 11%. It's probably me playing basketball. So you would what 67%? Think about what you would do with 67%. You would what it? Who knows what we would do with 67%? We would what it? We'd reject it. We'd say, I don't believe that's true. I have evidence to say it's not true. So we have strong evidence to reject 67%, at least in my case, because it's way outside. So that's where we would reject it, the null hypothesis, and write the conclusion. Explain how the confidence interval assisted in the process. Well, any value inside an interval is one that you what? Can reject or can't reject. Any value in an interval is a value you can or can't reject. Any value in the interval is a value you can or cannot reject. If it's in the interval that we believe could be true. Like we're like, well, legendary Pokemon are somewhere between 6 to 11%. Any value in the interval is a value you cannot reject. Any value outside the interval is a value you can reject. And so if a value is not in the interval, you're saying, I don't think it's a true value. I mean, it might be, but it's probably not, because it's not in my interval of values I believe could be true. So let's just say the hypothetically speaking mind is, if it's outside, you say, well, 67% is not contained within my interval. So yeah, exactly. So we can reject it. Any value outside of the interval would be rejected at 1 minus the confidence level of alpha. So I can reject that at the 0.05 alpha level because I did a 95% confidence roll. And that should be 20 points. We've already done 20 points of the assignment. Did everyone hear that? 20 points done. 20 points. Let's get another 20 points. You ready? I think we've done everything. We'll do a check at the end. Read the instructions thoroughly. I think I'm catching everything, but read everything thoroughly. Let's get another 20 points. One part done. See, it's not that bad. Just gotta practice the stats. Here we go. 30. Remember, this is recorded, and it will be time-stamped. Project. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It's so much more fun doing it with people. Sometimes I do office hours, no one's here, and I'm almost sad. Pick a quantitative variable you want to analyze. Now we got to pick one that is what? A quantitative variable we want to analyze. We have to pick one that is what? What color we're looking for? quantitative variable. I gotta pick one. That's what? Blue. I want a Pokemon with a good attack right there. Were these data sets used in previous? I think some of them were. Good question, Dylan, right there. I think there were 5,000 points. So we're picking attack. Let's go see what it says. We picked our quantitative variable. Create a histogram, making sure it has a count axis, is in horizontal layout, including a screenshot of the visualization and summary statistics and quantiles. You're like, whoa, that sounds hard. It's not that bad. To create the histogram, go here and do Analyze Distribution. Analyze Distribution. When you click Analyze Distribution, if you've selected your variable, double-click it, or click Y columns. It just needs to appear right there. Analyze Distributions. Click OK. Once you've clicked OK, go ahead and hit the red arrow, then click Stack. That puts it in horizontal layout. Now click the second red arrow and go to Histogram Options, Count Axis. Histogram Options, Count Axis. You can do other neat little fun things like histogram options, color, not required. Where's color? Histogram color. There we go. We'll go to a nice light purple. There we go. And so with this, we have our histogram. You can also make it a little bit bigger if you want. I kind of like mine to look good. Fill up the space on the screen. Nice and neat. We're going to take screenshot right here. And we go right there where it says attack. You can also change this if you want. You could call it like Pokemon attack. If you didn't know that, you can edit all those things. You don't have to. It's just for fun. Rock knows.
It doesn't matter!
And we'll once again, if you get a little extra, it's better to get a little extra than to not get enough. You will get neatness points removed if you take screenshots like this. So if your screenshot does come out a little bit wonky, that's all right. Go to the picture, go to the crop, make sure you've clicked the picture, and then grab the edges and bring them in ever so slightly and get a nice clean screenshot. So you can make the exact changes you want, then click away from it, and then you can throw a little border around it. That's what I generally do to make things look nice and neat. And we've got a nice, neat visualization showing us our histogram and horizontal layout with the count axis, with the quantiles, with the summary statistics. Everything is good to go. Okay, and it doesn't say the counts over the bars. That's ridiculous if you do that. And it's all right if you did it. I don't think we should have points. Provide a short write-up explaining the shape, center, and appropriate spread. Now, what word am I highlighting right here? What word am I highlighting? Who remembers how we figure out the appropriate center and spread? We have to first determine the what. To figure out the appropriate center and spread, you have to first determine the what? The shape. So you know what? I kind of lucked out on mine because I'm going to say it's mostly this. If the grader gets mad, I'll talk to Brian. But I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of data, and that one looks mostly what? I know it's got a little bit of, that Monster Man's trying to exist. But this data is mostly what? I'm going to say it's mostly this. Mostly normal. This one, of what I've seen, looking at data, little tiny Monster Man trying to do his Monster Man thing. But for the most part, mostly normal, a little bit of outliers, tiny bit of right skew. So I need to justify using the what for center and what for spread because I'm saying mostly normal. So when I write this up and I talk about it, I need to justify to who's ever grading it, because there's variation in grading. I need to justify using the what, because I'm going to try to do mostly normal. I'm going to use the what for center and what for spread. Since I'm saying mostly normal, I need to justify using the what for center and what for spread. When I do my write-up of shape, the mean standard deviation, exactly. If your data looks more unimodal symmetric, you're over here. If it looks more like that, skewed or outliers, whatever direction. So this would be the center here. This would be the center here. You're not going to quote all of them. That's where people make mistakes. And this is the IQR. What is the IQR, which we are not going to use? I'm just saying it for the heck of it. The IQR is what right now? If you see it, it's Q1 minus Q3 or Q3 minus Q1. It's a positive number, so you subtract them either which way and then just positive. The IQR is what? We're going to do IQR. Q3 minus Q1. Great job. And so you can find the IQR. If not, you can also get Jump to show it to you. The IQR is equal to 42. Great job right there, Dylan and Ali. So more points in the chat. So the way I'd interpret this is my write-up would be, So I'll say it, but I would say my distribution is very normal. We should put on the screen, like, don't say what Brian says again. Just a reminder, don't be writing, don't type everything I'm saying. If you hear me saying this, just take it in, just relax. Here we go. Okay, my histogram is mostly normal with a tiny bit of right skew. It's like a little Salt Bay dropped a little right skew on there, just a little. You say, okay, stop. I just wanted a little. Why you gotta have it hit your shoulder? I don't want salt to hit your shoulder. Give me a new steak. Anyways, this tiny right skew histogram with a little bit of teeny bit of outliers is mostly normal. And because it is mostly normal, I'm going to use the mean for my center, which tells us that the average Pokemon's attack is basically 78 when rounded. And the standard deviation is a metric of spread telling us the typical distance that a Pokemon is away from the mean. The typical Pokemon is about 31.76 away from the mean of the Pokemon attack. So the standard deviation is a typical distance from the mean because it's a standard deviation from a mean. It's not how far things are always away. It's about how far things are typically away. And maybe that skew is hurting it a little more than I thought. I'm sticking with the normal. That one is iffy. That one's iffy. If you want to be super safe, you could always do median and IQR. Do not interpret all of these and do not just say the mean is this. The mean is the average Pokemon attack. The standard deviation tells us a typical attack difference from the mean. You lose points if you just say the median is this, the IQR is this. Do not interpret all four. You're either going to do median IQR for skewed data, or you're going to do mean standard deviation for more normal data. Create a confidence interval. Here we go. To make a confidence interval, you already have the 95. Go here to the arrow and go to confidence and go to other. So you need to be clicked on your graphic. Go to the second arrow, confidence, other. And then enter in some other number. I'm doing 95. Once again, don't do 95. I just don't want everyone to copy the number I do. So I just do 95, which you can't do. So here we go. Put in another number. Change the last one. Best way to do it. Let's click OK. And here's our interval, which is the same one already displayed by default. But we're going to screenshot it and grab it and bring it over here. How am I going to start interpreting this? Give me the first 2 words of my interpretation for interpreting this confidence interval. If you've been practicing interpreting intervals, you should know the first 2 words. I say it all the time when I interpret the intervals. And these are points on the final. I am. There we go. Great job, Emily, right there. I am 95% confident that the true what? I am. Tell me the next word I'm going to say. I am 95% confident that the true what? I am 95% confident that the true what? I am 95% confident that the true what? Nice job, Ali, because this is quantitative. People say, well, how do I know if it's quantitative, or how do I know if it's mean or proportions? Well, it's attack power. It's a quantity of attack power. I am 95% confident that the true mean of attack is contained in the interval 75.21 to 80.67. 2 decimal places is fine. So type a Y in the chat if you're following along really well. We've done a lot. We're going to keep going. We might be able to get through the whole thing, and then we could might do executive summary or something tomorrow. But we're doing really well, and I hope this is making sense. You just made an interval right here. We're interpreting the lower and the upper bound. This is your lower bound, your upper bound, and this is the confidence level. The 4 parts to the interval, as you can see, which Mubot put in the chat. The first part here is your confidence level. So have you already done... Yeah, we've done some of it. Mm-hmm. I think they're in last week's office hours too. So here's the lower and the upper bound. Here's the percent confident. Don't use 95. And this is the context of the true mean of attack for Pokemon. Yeah. Nice job. There we go. Let's take a look. Okay, so that's got that. We're rocking and rolling. The 3 conditions. Okay, so we already interpreted the interval for the reader. I just can't help myself when we do that. So next we have to do the 3 conditions. Condition 1. I know you're getting tired of this, but just say it with me. Just say it. What's condition 1? Which we passed because we did it, because that's what we had to do at the start. Random. Took a random sample. We're good to go. And here's the thing. It's the same conditions as the last one because we still have a sample size of 523. So when I check the what condition, I just need 3 characters in the chat. The one condition which says do not take more than this % of the data or else you've violated this condition, which I have done because there's not 5,230 Pokemon. So my 523 sample is not less than 10%. So we're not supposed to take more than 10%. Great job, Darius, right there. I took greater than 10%. I have broke the 10% condition, which means I probably shouldn't be doing this, but we're doing it for the learning objective. The last condition is what, though? And this is where you put the pause in the chat. What is the last condition? The last condition is what? What is the last condition? Now, we're doing means right here. We're doing means stuff. So what is the last condition? Let's watch Brian talk right there. I should wear the Cardinal shirt today. I was running a lab, Mike. What is the last condition? We're doing quantitative stuff with means. So look at the top. We're doing quantitative. It's almost like it's highlighted for a reason. Nearly normal. And here's the thing. So the less normal your data is, the larger your sample size needs to be. Our data is pretty darn normal to begin with. So because our sample size is so large, we're pretty good. And I would say my data is mostly unimodal symmetric. It really doesn't take that large of a sample. Once again, don't be copying what I say. Don't copy if you copy what I say, you again don't just sit back. The nearly normal condition states that the data must somewhat get down here. Go all the way to it at the end. So the nearly normal condition right there, already got it circled. You can check it by making a histogram and looking at the shape of the histogram. You can make a normal probability plot and see if it follows the line. You can do a goodness of fit test to see if the p-value is higher than 0.05. Normality, pretty unimodal symmetric. Normal probability plot follows the line. And then right here, the high p-value indicates. You can also check it with the sample size. If we have a large enough sample size, so this is the large enough n condition, well, if your data is kind of normal, you don't need that large of a sample size. This is the central limit theorem, large enough n, taught also on test 2 to see if the data can be nearly normal. So I think we're pretty darn good on the nearly normal because I only have a tiny bit of skew and I've got a large sample size. So I would say we passed the nearly normal. I'd write that up a little bit nicer than I think we're pretty darn good. And guess what? How many points should we have if we've been writing this up really well? At this point, you should have how many points? And the next part, it's going to be even easier. How many points are you at? Check the rubric afterwards, but how many points do you have now? It's good. No one knows? I don't know how many points you have. No one knows. 40 points. What? You're right. That's worth 5,000 points. Side-by-side box plots. This one's even easier. It's not that much instructions on it. So the side-by-side box plots. Use the quantitative variable and categorical variable from the previous 2 sections to create a side-by-side box plot and include the 5-number summary. So you ready? We're going to go back to our data. And we're going to go to graph builder. Graph builder. Under graph builder, we're going to put on the y-axis attack. Now, this is the variable I used a moment ago. And then down here on the x-axis, we're going to put legendary. Now, here's a fun thing you can do. You can go right here and take legendary and put it to color. Now, we're going to click the box plot button. I'll repeat the process. So here we go. I'm going to start over. And we're going to put attack on the y, because that's the quantitative variable of interest. We're going to split it up on the x by our categorical variable and make sure it goes down there on the x. Don't put in these other sections. Then legendary can go in color because that's the telling the true false legendary. Then we're going to click the box plot button right there to make box plots. And then we're going to click 5-number summary. Then you need to click done. A lot of people don't do that. And then you can resize your graphic to however big you want it to be. So we can get the graphic nice and neat. I prefer, since we're putting it in, we'll do like that right there. And so now we're going to take this and screenshot it. And we've got a nice, neat graphic. Good looking graphic. Once again, crop it. But there we go is our graphic. And we have an amazing, beautiful, even Salpay would be proud about this. But there, that's a good looking graphic. Doesn't have extra parts of the screen. We can see right here, guess I missed a little bit of the attack. But this is where I go crazy. Where I'm like, I don't like this as attack right there. I guess that is attack, but I'm gonna go like here and do this. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a little trick. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna put. There we go. That's what I want. I'm gonna put this. Wait. Put it in front. Bring to front. There we go. You have no idea how particular I am on graphics. It's crazy. I'm very particular. There we go. You don't have to be as crazy as me. It's like whatever. And then you could re-screenshot it, but no, I will make my graphics look exactly how I want them to look. And if I'm afraid that something's gonna happen wacky with that screenshot, I'll go back here and re-screenshot it, and that way it's a static image without that overlay on top of it. But Brian will make sure his graphics look the best. I don't care that a little bit of the Y is not caught. That's fine. Everyone knows that that's a Y. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so let's see, then we lose. Then we got that little bit right there, and then we drop this in. There we go. Legendary got cut. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Take a good screenshot. Okay, so what do you notice about the attack of legendary Pokemon? Just first thing I would look at is where. What would you notice? I mean, this is probably like a Blissey or a Shuckle or something down here. Just look at this, like the minimum attack of a legendary Pokemon is very close to the Q1, and your data is going to be your data, but the worst legendary Pokemon is better than 25%, about 25% of all Pokemon, because this is the 25th percentile. That's a keynote right there. Like the worst legendary Pokemon is about on par with the bottom 25% of Pokemon. The median legendary Pokemon has an attack of 112.5, which is higher than the top 75, way higher than the 75th percentile over here. So you can see legendary Pokemon are way better than other. And you could compare the median. You could say, the median for legendary is about twice as large as the median for non-legendary. Or no, I misinterpreted that. It's about 50% larger. You could say the median for non-legendary Pokemon is 72, where the median for legendary is 112.5, which is 40.5 higher. And the only thing that these two are similar on is their what? Which actually they're pretty similar on. The only thing these things are similar-esque on is their what? The only thing, and that's something I would comment too and say, the only things that these are similar on is their what? Who can comment in the chat? So we're basically doing this portion right here. The only thing that these things are similar on, well, I'll do this a different color. The only things, it's a little bigger on the right. And then, and that's a dissimilarity there. The only things that these things are maybe similar-esque on, well, no, I need to incorporate those. That's 140, that's 165. So that's 140. What am I calculating? Who knows what I'm calculating here? 165. This is 43. That is, that one is bigger, like I said. 56.3. So they're still different. And it's due to the outliers for the IQR. The green has the IQR. I calculated IQRs and I calculated ranges. So metrics of spread are different, where due to the outliers, the non-legendary Pokemon have a bigger spread due to the outliers, where the IQR is bigger for the legendary Pokemon. So yeah, metrics of spread are a little bit more similar, but still different. You need to quote the numbers. So you need Gertrude Douglas right there. You need to quote the numbers. So you need to be like, when looking at metrics of center measured by median, I don't know why we're talking like this, but just be quoting the numbers, which pretty much does this whole section. You just have to write up your graphic. Include a write-up, the nature of the association. Legendary Pokemon are way better and have more variability in their attack, as shown by the median increase, the IQRs being a little bit wider, things like that. Use the side-by-side box plots to help you determine. Provide supporting evidence for your conclusion using numeric backing, which I gave. I gave the numbers. That is, how did the similarities difference among the characteristics of quantitative variables? Yeah. We're 50 points in. 50 points done. So side-by-side box plots, nice and easy. Any questions right now? I don't want to go too quick, But I'm hoping people are like, well, that wasn't that bad. Any questions right now? That was only a 7-minute section, but all we had to do was make side-by-side box plots and interpret the 5-number summary. Make sure your graphic looks nice and neat. Good looking graphic. Make sure you put it into your Word document and it looks nice and neat. Don't draw on it like I drew on it. I just draw for example purposes. But Nancy, almost to the top level. I like it. Okay, let's do pivot charts. Okay. Project. Pivot charts. I got to pick up my context today. W, Elizabeth, Emily right there. I see things. I think I combined the word and I was like, name that's longer. It's funny. Sometimes we don't read things. We just like see things. Hide that. Okay. So what we need to do now, I'm going to open up Excel in the background right here. I'll show you how to get everything in Excel. Okay. Good. Didn't know if I was like working on grades or stuff. You never know. Okay. So to get your data in Excel, do the following. Go to your data set. In your data set, click the following. Control A. Everything should be selected. On a Mac, click Command A. Make sure everything's selected. If it looks like this, you haven't done it right. If it looks like that, you haven't done it right. I think if you just click Control A at any time, it'll do it. Should be good to go. These clear your selections right there. If you click between those, I don't know why they exist, but they do it. And if you click Control A again, you select everything. Everything's selected. Now go to Edit, Copy with column names. Now that's very important. I've never copied with full precision. Haven't tried that yet. But we want the column names because that tells us the names of the variables. Make sure to not hit Command C or Control C. That just copies. There is a shortcut, Command Shift C. We're just going to click this right here. There we go. And now we'll go over to Excel and we paste. Now we have the data in Excel. So with the data in Excel, we're going to do the following. The data has just been pasted with Control V or Command V or edit or is there not edit paste? Insert paste. Now we're going to go to Insert Pivot Table. Now here's the thing. If you don't see this, you might be working with Excel online. Make sure to download Excel through UT. It's completely free. So download Excel through UT and use the Excel on your computer and you can do this. Doesn't take too long. Download through Office and it should have a download link at the top. Free Excel. So we go to pivot tables right here, and since it's already selected, because we just pasted it in, click OK. Now we can start making our pivot table, but let's see what they want. So in the instructions, it's going to tell us, along with the variables you choose for previous two sections, choose one more categorical variables. Number of levels doesn't matter to create a pivot chart. One of the categorical variables must go into the columns field. The other must go into the rows field. Okay. Make sure to change the default analysis of the quantitative variable to averages. If you find that one or more variables needs filtering, you can put that variable into the filter. Be sure to include your write-up why you choose the certain variables. Include a write-up describing the nature of the relationship, mention any key information and things you find of interest. Make sure to include a chart title, access titles, data tables, value labels, and everything else. So here we go. We're going to take right here and go and put attack into the values we're analyzing. We're going to look at the attack of Pokemon. Now we're going to click on this. It'll be a little eye on the Mac and go to the value field setting. Under the value field setting, we're simply going to click average. And now we have the average. Before we continue, we're going to format average or your value to how many decimals by clicking home, make sure it's clicked on, and then go to delete decimals. I'm going to use 2 decimals. Everything from now on will be formatted because we formatted this number. Now we're going to add in legendary right here, and legendary is going to go in the rows. Now, I'm going to add in the type of Pokemon its type, and put it right here, but this is going to be huge. That's okay. Let's only analyze a few types. To do this, we're going to put type into filter. So now that we have, it already has the filter because anything you put can be filtered. So I'm going to remove out bug and dark and dragon. Let's remove all variables. Can we not? There we go. Let's put in, normal's boring. Let's put in water. Water, electric for Pikachu, dragon for Dragonite, and a grass Pokemon. Let's do that. There we go. There we go. So we're analyzing the different attacks of Pokemon. And just check it out. Dragon in general has a good attack, even if it's not legendary. It's actually non-legendary dragon Pokemon, like Dragonite, which is not legendary, compete with just legendary Pokemon. Frankly, the electric legendary Pokemon are not even there. This is a pivot table. We can turn it into a pivot chart by going to right here under pivot table analysis and pivot chart. So now we're going to go to pivot chart, and there's our analysis. I'm going to flip-flop the variables. Sometimes I think it'll look better if we flip-flop them. You just go here and you flip-flop. There we go. I do like this a little bit better because I can see the non-legendary dragon versus the legendary dragon, the non-legendary versus the legendary, non-legendary water versus legendary water. And then we're going to do the following. Under the design, we're going to click quick layout and click this one. That gives us our table. So that was under the design tab. Make sure your design tab is clicked. Click the second row, second column. And then we need to add in an axis title down here on the bottom. So we're going to go to axis titles and primary horizontal. And we're going to stretch this. You don't want something that looks like that. That's ridiculous. Do not turn that in. You don't want something that looks like this either. You want to make it nice and neat. You don't want your words to wrap. Sometimes people have, when the words are too tight, they get like a wrap on the words, as in like the words go to the next line. You don't want that. I have to make mine look ridiculous to do that. It won't even do it because my words are too short. Just make sure it looks nice, like you would want someone to see this graphic. And so now we're going to say right here, type of Pokemon. And then this is average attack. And then we have average attack of Pokemon by type created by Brian Stevens. And you can always click these right here and make them a little bit bigger, whatever you want. Because I'm blind, I can't see things. It gets less funny as I get older. My vision was bad as a child, and then it got better after eye surgeries, and they got worse as I got older. That's too big. And so yeah, you just want to make it nice and neat, very legible. And then you do not include that. Do not include that, because we already have it down here. That information is already here. So we're going to screenshot this and think about this. This is the graphic. Should look nice and neat. You should be proud of it. You should be like, I made a good graphic. And there's that. And here we go. Oh, did I not do it? I hate Control B. There we go. That looks pretty good, right? What are people's thoughts? I mean, think about the takeaways on this graphic. There's some, can you change the color? Yeah, of course. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, or Nancy. Gosh, looked up and saw Emily's name. Of course you can. Yes, definitely. You can change the colors all you want. Yeah, that's you just make it your own graphic, whatever you want. You don't have to change font sizes. You just want it to be legible. You want it to be a nice, neat graphic that you'd put in a presentation. And then you want to explain to people like, man, those dragon Pokemon, even if they're not legendary, beat out some legendary Pokemon. Like, but the strongest Pokemon are very clearly the legendary dragon Pokemon, which are the highest. Water has a pretty big jump. Like water, a non-legendary and electric non-legendary are about 70.9 and 70.56. But water actually has the biggest jump between when you go from a non-legendary water to a legendary water. It jumps up about 40 points or so, or 40.35 points. You can subtract those numbers. And clearly, the legendary aspect to it, and Dragon actually has the smallest jump. No, actually, Electric does. Electric's barely smaller, I think. They're both about 23. Yeah, very close to it. One is 23 rounded down, one's 23 rounded up. And so the difference is when you go from a legendary to non-legendary Pokemon is about a difference of 20 to 40. We could cite the numbers there. And then clearly the strongest Pokemon are the legendary Pokemon, which lead the way with an attack of 128. And these are of the types we selected. Very nice and easy to read graphic. You can see the gaps. You can also see the dragon Pokemon are very high on the scale. Mention numbers, cite values. We have the axis titles. We have the data table. We have our chart title. Yeah. I've got the timestamps in here. So you can come back if you missed something. You just write your analysis while doing the report and just interpret it. Nancy, thank you for being here. Everything's timestamped, so you can come back. But we just did the full pivot chart, and now we're on to regression. We're on to the last statistical analysis. Who's feeling a little bit? We've been going barely an hour. We even talked about some Oblivion remaster at the start of this. We've gone barely an hour, and you're about to have all your graphics and everything. And they just got to like make sure it's written up nice and neat. So tell people like, did the project in an hour, about an hour. And then you gotta get your future research, your executive summary, which are more unique to you. where you just think about what you're going to analyze, what you're going to do. But yeah, W, Emily, you got this right here. Okay, so let's get regression done. Nice job, Darius. And you can pause these videos, you can rewind. I love this on YouTube. I asked you one time to say, can we just have the class on Zoom? And then halfway through the semester, I think they were like, okay, this is better. I'm gonna do some YouTube class. Okay, project. We are doing regression. Let's do it. Select another quantitative variable that you suspect has a linear relationship with the first quantitative variable you chose. Decide whether the variable will be the explanatory. Decide which will be the explanatory variable, the X variable, and which will be the response to the question, why do Pokemon have a certain attack? And explain your decision. Well, I want to understand what leads to an attack. So attack will be the what. I want to understand why Pokemon have a certain attack. So attack will be the what variable, X or Y. So attack is what I want to understand. It's the variable of interest, the one I want to talk about, that I want people to give me responses to. Attack will be my what variable. I want to see what explains attack. Be careful, I know you heard me say explain, but I want to see what explains attack. So attack will be the what variable, because I want to see what explains attack. Like, why do Pokemon have such a big attack? It'll be the Y variable of interest. So the explanatory variables explain why something happens. And we think when you talk to your parents and they want a response, that's the conversation. The conversation is the response. The why is the response. So, because it's why attack? Talk to me about it. Well, things might explain. Great job, multiple responses. Olivia, Douglas, Darius, Nancy, and Emily. Great job, and Brando. So include the screenshot. That was my, you need to include what I said in the report. You need to phrase it your own ways. Once again, don't be like, you get it. Don't write what I say. Write your own things. So include the scatter plot with the regression line of the linear fit. Create the residual plot to evaluate the fourth condition. Note you do with the first residual plot titled that. Let's make a residual plot. Okay, here we go. Wake up. It's 2025. We're getting new Oblivion. Analyze. Fit Y by X. Analyze. Fit Y by X. Y variable of interest is attack. Does defense explain attack? I think it might be a relationship. Pokemon with high defense might have higher attack. So I'm thinking we get a good defensive Pokemon that Pokemon probably can do some attack in. I think. Here we go. Okay. What the? Is that a Blissey? I can find out what it is. What Pokemon do you think that is? Well, we saw the answer. There's the answer. It's a Shuckle. Little shell Pokemon. Just, Blissey's on here somewhere. Probably. We're over here, and these Pokemon that have very high defense but low attack. Those are Onix. I didn't know Onix is bad at attack. Carbink. I use that in Pokemon Go. Nosepass. A lot of rock Pokemon. Or Steel. No. Maybe not as bad as I thought. You don't need to do that. That's just fun for me. Okay, so now that we have the scatter plot, we're going to go here and fit the line. And there we go. We go to the top right arrow and fit the line. Boop. And I like to clean this up a tiny bit here by deleting decimals. It makes the equation nicer. We could round this. There's the intercept, and there's the slope of the equation, and there's the x variable. There's the r squared. I got something weird going on. There's the outlier, and now we need to go to the red arrow, and we need to go to the plot residuals to get the residual plot. I mean, not the worst I've seen. Keep the outlier on there. Not the worst. What am I looking for on this condition? Let me get all the output I need. So if I was doing this, I always redo my plots because the default output's not the best. Why was I looking at the residual plot? Who remembers the condition you have to look at with residual plots? The reason you look at residual plots is you want to see the plot, blah, blah, blah. That's why you look at residual plots, the fourth condition, to see if the plot doesn't. There's that. And we're going to get all necessary output that we could ever want. And then we should grab that. Plot doesn't thicken. Exactly. We don't want the plot to thicken, which it didn't look horrible. It's iffy. There's that. Make it look nice and neat. All pretty. Let's grab the residual plot. Residual plot. There's a residual plot. Sure. Looks a little better than I thought it would look. Okay. Oh, really? Good. There. Okay, so what questions are we answering here? Name and define the 4 conditions for regression as described from our notes and books. This is where people make mistakes. Bump, 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 bump. Plot doesn't thicken. Who knows the 4 conditions? People start saying things to me like heteroscedasticity, independence of residuals, normality of residuals, and independence. So what are the 4 conditions? From chapter 7, da 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 da. You gotta figure out what I said right there. QQ, Olivia right there, 5,000. QQ, straight enough, no outliers, plot doesn't thicken. QQ, yeah. You can't make a scatter plot without 2 quantitative variables, so we're good to go. Straight enough, does the straight line mostly go through the data? I mean, yeah, it's mostly a linear relationship, so I'd say it's good there. Make sure to do full sentences. No outliers, ooh, that's shuckle. That shuckle is really messing up my no outliers because that's a big outlier. It's probably where I have my biggest issue is the no outliers condition. So it's obviously 2 quantitative variables to make a scatter plot. It's mostly straight enough. I see a little bit of weirdness, but I'm going to say mostly straight enough because the straight line, yeah, once again, don't write down what I say. I don't want everyone to say, my data is mostly straight enough. There's a slight dip in the start, and then there's a slight dip there and a slight dip there towards the end. I see a tiny bit of evidence of nonlinearity, which can be checked with a polynomial model. I will fit my polynomial fit to see, or I'll fit a polynomial spline, and I'll check for the flexibility of this. Remove the linear fit. I'm doing what I would do if I was seeing how... Yeah, look, like I said, that's what I saw. Look at me. I said I see something in that data. I should have went further out. I saw a little bit of this in that data. That's a little bit... That outlier's pulling it down too quick. But yeah, I saw something weird. Little weird. The outlier's weirder, though. So yeah, it's mostly linear. Like, straight enough is the condition. It's not perfectly straight linear relationship. And then plot doesn't thicken. There's a little bit of weirdness in this too, where it's stronger, weaker, moderate, lack of data. There's a little bit of thickening towards the middle, tiny bit of worry. Dr. Seaver, awesome guy, always had us drawing on these. The model seems to get a tiny bit weaker towards the middle. I'd rate this as a moderate concern. And this is what you get into when we do statistics and other classes with us. It's usually, if there's a problem, how big is it? Does that make sense? Like, the biggest issue right now is the what problem with my model. Is it the QQ? Is it the straight enough? Is it the no outliers? Is it the plot doesn't thicken? If I had to talk about my biggest concern, it would be the what for this model, which is causing some of the nonlinearity issue. The outlier, exactly. That's like the whoa. That's a big issue. The nonlinearity is like a The plot doesn't thicken is like a and you can say that in your reports, like, I don't find this to be the outlier. If you say that that's not done, you lose points. Yeah, and everyone's gonna have different graphics. So I don't know what your graphic looks like. You need to walk through QQ. Here's a hint: you can't fail QQ if you made a scatter plot. If you made a scatter plot, you did 2 quantitative variables. Now, if you did something different and you got like this, you didn't make a scatter plot. So you have to get a scatter plot, or else you're not doing QQ. We're almost done. Okay. Clearly note any outliers that may exist. That shuckle down there, I probably mentioned. You will leave these data points in your analysis, but you must clearly identify unusual features, regardless of your conditions. Assume all the conditions have met. Is that it? Did we not ask you to interpret the slope, or is that? Let me look at the rubric, because that's so easy on the regression. That is like the easiest. That was the easiest regression analysis I've ever done. That was a lot. We did a lot of stuff already. There's a relationship. Pivot chart, we did pivot. Screenshots are easy to read. That's it. All 4 conditions are explained whether or not they're met. And now we get into the... Oh, slope. Ooh, I didn't see this. Slope and y-intercept is... Do the instructions not have these? Ooh, I'm going to be... Okay, let's look again. Am I going crazy? It's on the next page. Sorry, I was like, I feel like there should be more, and I was right. Okay. Interpretation of the slope and the intercept, and if the intercept has no practical meaning, be sure to mention this. Also evaluate if the regression model is statistically significant or not by using and stating the appropriate p-value. Okay, let's do it. So what would be the intercept for my model? Just tell me mathematically, what is the intercept? Mathematically, what is the intercept? Just want the math now. I just want the math. Mathematically, what is the intercept? Just the math. Just tell me the number. What is the math on it? What is the math of the intercept? Just the number. That's all I want right now. So you have to look at the equation and tell me the intercept value. Just what is it? Then I will interpret it. So I want to do as much of this in one video as I can. It'll be this value right here, B0, B1. This is the intercept right there. There we go. So the intercept states, and good answers, good practice. Don't worry if you got it wrong, there's practice right here. So the intercept would say, when a Pokemon's defense is equal to 0, we expect their attack to be 45.73 on average. And it looks to me that a Pokemon can't have 0 defense. So that's kind of illogical. It can be close to 0, but it can't be exactly 0. Like there's no Pokemon with 0 defense. So that is illogical because a Pokemon can't have 0 defense. Pokemon all have above 0. It can be very close to 0, but this is illogical because a Pokemon can't have 0 defense. You can't. And so what is the slope? The slope is the other quantity right here. That is the B1. So this would be for each additional 1 unit increase in defense of a Pokemon, we expect their attack to increase by 0.441 on average. Does that make sense? So for each additional 1 unit increase of defense, we expect their attack to increase by 0.441 on average. And that's because this is the slope of the line. It goes up by that much each 1 unit. So for each 1 unit increase in defense of a Pokemon, we expect their attack to increase by 0.441 on average. Now, I did forget one thing in the output. We need one last thing. Sorry if anyone deleted their graphic like I did. You can just go back here and re-put in the linear fit. It'll be a different colored line because you redid it. And we need one last thing. We need this down here. I thought I needed one more thing, and then I didn't do it. We need this to get the what? For 5,000 points, what am I going to get from this? I'm going to get the significance of the model. Where is that? For 5,000 points. Where is that on this graphic? For 5,000 points. I didn't click it. There we go. For 5,000 points. Yep. P-value of the slope. Great job, Emily. This right here. Since the p-value, once again, don't copy what I say. Just blink this on the screen again. Since the p-value of the slope is less than 0.05, we have evidence of a statistically significant slope, which means we have evidence of a relationship between defense and attack of a Pokemon. So to know if something is statistically significant, you have to look at the p-value, and we're looking at the p-value of the slope, and that is a less than 0.0001 p-value. So very, very, very statistically significant. Super duper duper statistically significant. Well, so now we're literally on, and we have just enough time here to do the future research and executive summary. So when it comes to future research, let's start with future research. W. Yeah, I think people are going to be mostly done. Like, if you attended this full thing, shouts to you. You should be mostly done with it. Send this to a friend who says, I'm stuck. Your friend says they're stuck on the project. Be like, watch this video. It's all timestamped. Let me hit the save on the timestamps. So send it to your friend. Let them know this video walks through all the output. Don't copy what Brian says, but I try to interpret it and make it make sense. And then let us know if you're stuck, and I'll be answering emails. I got a few to catch up on today. So here's the thing about the executive summary. The executive summary has 3 parts to it. First, you need to tell people what company it is and what you're trying to do. We are Pokemon of America, and we've been set forth to make sure people have the most awesome and coolest Pokemon ever. So to do this, we've been analyzing the attack, legendary status, defense of a Pokemon, and also the type of a Pokemon to see what relationships these variables have. Do not copy what I say. Do not copy what I say. Do not say, we have been set forth to analyze these variables. Just say who you are, what company you are. What are you analyzing? What graphics did you make? What'd you do? then what did you find? So step one should be, who's your company? What are you analyzing? I feel like people will take my word sometimes and literally just change a word or two. Don't do that. So who's your company and what are you analyzing? What did you find? What is your action item? Okay. What did I find? I could quote the things about the dragon Pokemon having a much higher attack than other Pokemon. Dragon Pokemon were by far the strongest Pokemon with an attack of this. I could point out that legendary Pokemon just in general have higher attacks. It was shown that legendary Pokemon had a much higher attack when they had a median attack of this compared to their non-legendary counterparts. I could point out that there was a somewhat linear relationship, except for that darn Shuckle, when we looked at attack and defense. Attack and defense had a mostly linear relationship where we see that Pokemon with higher defense typically have a higher attack. And there was one Pokemon that definitely broke this trend, that darn Shuckle. Do you see how you write this and you mentioned the relationships and you also mentioned the values? I should be quoting the values saying like, there was a slope between them of 0.44, suggesting a positive linear relationship, or the graphic suggested the linear relationship, and the slope of 0.44 showed us that there is a positive relationship. So mention values. So mention values. That's where people lose points, is they don't mention the values they found in the report. So what's my action item? It's whatever I want it to be. We are going to be introducing a new electric Pokemon, Legendary Pikachu, who has a higher attack and, of course, high defense based on our data that high defense Pokemon have higher attack. And this Legendary Pikachu, special Legendary, I don't know, Legendary Pikachu's getting introduced. And Legendary Pikachu is going to be a new type of Pokemon that breaks the trend where electric Pokemon usually don't have as high of an attack. So, like, usually it goes like, this is like 2 sentences, I'd say. I hate it when we do sentence limit, because it's like, how good are your sentences? That's like 2, I go like 4 here, and like 2 here. But once again, if you write like, introduce new Pokemon, Pokemon good, those are not 2 good sentences. We say it all right there. Don't include all your key findings. And then go into the rubric. It's clear who the project's for. That's what I said. Or give your summary right there. And then the action item, which I gave. I'm going to introduce my legendary Pokemon. And then we get to future research. Yeah, remember, this is just you. The whole point of the executive summary is it's the full report for someone to be able to read very quickly. Like, I was going to ask how in-depth the write-up needs to be. So here's the thing. The executive summary, if someone has an executive summary, like, if I got an executive summary of this book, what would I need to do with this book then? If I said, hey, I need an executive summary of this book, really great book by Tori Olson. I just have it in my office now. I need to get sound. And if I had an executive summary of this book, what would I then need to do with this book? Red Dead history right here. I mean, it's a good book, but if I had an executive summary of it, I wouldn't need to read the book, right? The point of an executive summary is it's the full report. It's not an introduction. It's not like, in this report, I will be analyzing. That's not an executive summary. An executive summary is what you give to the executives who don't have enough time to read the report, and you say, here's the executive summary. It tells you who we are, what we're doing, what we found, and what we're going to do. And then say, okay, I don't need to read the report now. It's your ability to summarize big information into small, condensed. And then if someone wants to read all the nitty-gritty details, they read the full report. Put a W or yes in the chat if you think you understand the point of an executive summary, which is for the executives who are super busy, and they're not too busy, but for the executives, it's something that they can read quicker and still know who the company is, what we found, what we're doing, and have the key findings, and then they're not even going to read the report. So if you don't put in the executive summary, they're not going to know about it. So you better make sure you write a good executive summary. So the future research is its own unique thing too, and great work right there, everyone. The future research is the last part right here. And then you're done. So future research. Oh, I called the last thing. Executive. I mistitled it. The future research is kind of the where do we go from here? And you think, I didn't analyze all types of Pokemons. One of the limitations on our studies, please don't say one of the limitations. Don't say that phrase. I don't want to see in every report, one of the limitations on our study Don't say that. I need to put this up every time I'm just like pontificating. Like we didn't analyze all the types of Pokemon, so it'd really be good to go back and find out what other relationships exist between the different type of Pokemons and the attacks. This data set has a lot of things that we could go into in the future, especially looking at things like special attack, which is something maybe the people in the battle leagues would like. We haven't even surveyed people in the battle leagues to find out what they like. Where if you look at, then we have the issues between the trading card games and the Pokemon Go games and the Arceus games and you got card games for Pokemon, you got phone games for Pokemon, you got Nintendo Switch games for Pokemon, a lot of games. So with that, we haven't even looked at the variation between the different systems and the platforms people are using to see their reviews of what Pokemon they're using and why. So we might want to go into deeper analysis, and this is what we need to research when. Think about this. I'm just giving ideas and questions. I'm not saying we're going to make a new Pokemon, which is like a action item for the company. I'm saying things we need to want. What's this section called? I just pontificated on this section called what? Which I was like, we should be looking into this. We should be looking into this. We should be collecting data here. We didn't consider this. We should have thought about that. I thought about research. It's future research. It's new ideas that you didn't think of. So you got to be like, well, here's some things we didn't do. It's literally, people say, how do I get a good grade on this? You just write what you think. As long as you come up with ideas you think are good, like that you like, as long as you're not saying like, we need to make bacon sandwiches. Say why, and they're like, because we're a Pokemon company. I'm just hungry for lunch. That's the problem. So be creative. Darius got it for 5,000 points. Be creative. Just whatever you want. It's your creativity, and it's things that you think the company should be doing, looking into, and we'll look at the rubric, then we'll head out. Really good office hours. Future research. Finally, give your ideas for future research. It's all right to briefly mention what you covered in the report, but that's not the point of it. Your goal in this section is to talk about research that could be done in the future, talk about new data to collect or ideas you think the company should investigate. The intent is that you will see your skills, initiative, thinking as a benefit to the company and choose you to complete the research in the future. This section covers ideas that go beyond the current report. Those things were things we didn't cover. They're things we could look into, things we didn't collect. It could be so outlandish, but still makes sense. Exactly. We're usually very forgiving. And then you just got the flow down here. Like, you can use AI. Using AI to fabricate the initial report is not prohibited, but should... Wait, it's not... Oh, yeah. There we go. I was like, such a weird way of phrasing it. Output of AI programs often miss the context of the flow of the concepts in a project such as where you blend regular conversation with statistical speak. So I've literally seen where students turn in what I'm pretty sure is an AI report, and they'll get like a 50 or a 60. So students will think I can just give AI everything, and you can AI pretty good, but the best thing to do with AI is this. This is where I'll end. I'll put usage of AI at the end of this. Because the AI doesn't understand what you need. So this is use your own words. Mm-hmm. So you know what you should do? This is something I am going to give a presentation on. You need to create what is called the AI sandwich. So the AI sandwich goes like this. It goes human. What's in the middle of the AI sandwich? We got the AI meat right here. So hungry for lunch. So this is the AI sandwich. If you write your report, I'm not even kidding, write your full report, then you give the AI the instructions and your report, and you say, find 3 key areas I think I could need to improve and explain why. Does everyone understand? If you give the AI your instructions in your report, and then you say to the AI, I want someone to say, I did this, Brian, and man, it made my report better. Say, yeah, exactly. Give it the instructions. It needs to have the instructions. It needs to have your report. And your report will have your screenshots of your data in it at that point. Once again, make sure anything you load up to AI is something you can upload. Don't upload things that are personal or data that you shouldn't upload. But this is just data that we can upload. Don't put your name. I agree. Ooh, Daryl, we got to throw you some 5,000 points for that. Remove name. Thank you, Daryl, for that. Remove any personally identifying stuff. Remove name. Remove stuff like that. That's just a good practice. Do not upload stuff like that to AI. Remove your name from it. Remove your name. Remove your emails. Remove name, email, any personal thing. All personal stuff. So remove your name, your numbers, all your personal. Remove all that stuff. Do not upload that to AI. Good AI practices right there. Do not. If you would not blast it across the internet for everyone to see, just rando people, whoever, then remove all that stuff. Just have a report that you wrote that you're okay with anyone on the internet seeing. So remove all that. So put your report on there with the stuff removed. Then you could put your instructions on there. And as long as you're okay with it, you're like, I'm okay with this. The instructions are just something we have on the internet too. Already exists up there, so it could be scraped by AI. Just remember that AI crawls the internet. That's how it gets a lot of this stuff. So it technically could already know of this. You'd be like, hey, check out the Step 1 page. It might already be able to see it. And so then afterwards, after you do this and it gives you the feedback, do you just turn in your report, yes or no? And then I'm going to answer Darius's question. After you give it to the AI, so you wrote your report. That was step 1, was write the report. Step 2 is to give the instructions in the report to the AI. Do you just then turn it in? Do you just then turn it in right away and say, like, I'm done? AI, no, you check it. That's step 3. That's the AI sandwich right there. You make a good, imagine someone gives you a sandwich and like this, Darius, are you going to be happy you go to a restaurant, this is your sandwich? Say, where's step 3? Say, here's your sandwich. So I'm not on Atkins, half Atkins diet. Is that the Atkins? I don't know. What are you giving me? Where's my bun? They say, well, you don't check your AI work afterwards, so we're not giving you the bun. No, you got to have that extra bun right there. That's the AI sandwich. So make sure to do that. Make sure to check it. We had AI tell us that a number was prime, and its factors were like 1, 14, and 81, and we were like, it's prime. AI got it wrong. Check for errors because AI can misinterpret words totally. Live and live and things like that, it gets wrong. For real. Yep. It was in, I should find that recording. It was in 474. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, relatively speaking, you don't need to use big words a ton because terms we've learned in notes class. Yeah, exactly. Like, most of what's in the projects is from past notes. And yeah, Darius on fire right there. You're totally right. We basically taught you everything, and it's all in the notes, and it's time for in-person office hours. So we'll do a fun outro ending right here. Huge thank you to everybody. Really good work. We'll do one of my favorite outros for those who haven't seen it. So if you finish this up and heard everything, and you haven't seen our Nintendo outro, check out Nintendo Switch 2, Donkey Kong, and Mario Kart World coming out soon. Bye for now. Bye.